Hello and welcome to the Build-Up here on Balls.ie in partnership with Ladbrokes. I'm Mick McCarthy, and every week we look ahead to the biggest events of the weekend. And look, there's no bigger event than what has become really the rivalry game in the English Premier League between Liverpool and Manchester City. That's on this Sunday. Delighted to say Kevin Doyle is with us to talk about that and everything else as well in the world of football. Kevin, just before we get to that game, there was an interesting night in the Champions League last night. We saw Liverpool do what they always do and batter Porto. We have Sheriff beating Real Madrid away from home, a team that Dundalk beat last year. Just absolutely bananas. You have other weird results going on, but I suppose the place to start is, Man City. We mentioned they look like they've this insane week where they're away to Chelsea, away to PSG, away to Liverpool. Started off pretty well, but then last night they were schooled by PSG really, and we had that Messi moment that I think everybody was. You were very much a man of I don't want to see Messi in another jersey. I was with you on that one. But now that we are, you don't have to be a big PSG fan to still kind of jump out of your seat at Messi being Messi.
Yeah, of course you'd be excited if you're a PSG fan. Brilliant. It was interesting last night just seeing how you're after hearing that everyone's listening to newspaper stories and different things about how the front three in particular aren't enjoying life together at PSG. It didn't look like that last night. Mbappe as well. There was a time which was most impressed me, not to do with the attacking side of it. It was, I think it was the first. That could have been the second half. But he tracked all the way back. He was basically the last defender making a tackle. To get him, I don't know if I've said this on here before, but it's easy to get good players to play well going forward. How do you get them? The trick is to get your best players working hard, doing the stuff that they don't really want to do. Mbappe doesn't want to be doing that, but he was doing it. So obviously, something is going right there. Something is starting to click with them. If they can do that, if he can, Pochettino can keep Messi, Neymar, and Mbappe playing like that, working off the ball as well as on the ball, it's going to be a tough ask for anyone. You saw Manchester City against them last night. They didn't have an answer for it. It's going to be a tough ask for anyone to match them in the Champions League.
Yeah. Messi's goal itself then, I was saying to you just before we came on air, it felt like such a standard classic Leo Messi goal. But again, It's funny that even all these years later, teams aren't able to react to that, to know that he's going to feed it in off the wing, run in central for the 1-2 and then hit it.
Keeper should have saved it, Mick.
Yeah, keeper should have saved it, absolutely. But it still feels like they're letting the shots get off. It's almost, I suppose my question is is that a stoppable play? Because Leo Messi's been doing it for 20 years and surely good coach would be able to stop it by now.
Well, that's why he's Lionel Messi. Why we've all loved watching him. Why he's a joy. Why he's why PSG spend so much money just on his wages alone to sign him. It's obviously not stoppable. I've obviously not played against him in competitive game or anything like that. So I've gone in out. I can't tell you what managers are telling players, but I can imagine everyone's seen Messi play. Everyone's seen what he's done. They know what he's trying to do all the time. He still can't stop it. So at his age as well, still able to do it. Still looking fairly fresh and fit, isn't he? He looked like he was enjoying himself last night. So short answer, sorry for rambling, is no, Mick. And that's why he has all the records and everything himself and Ronaldo. We all know what they're going to do, but knowing and stopping are two different things.
That's fair enough. You obviously did play against Ronaldo. It was probably before his absolute peak. You didn't play in an Ireland-Argentina game against Messi, even a friendly?
Yeah, we played in a friendly. You know what? You'll have to check. Stupid. My memory is crap. I know I was there. I don't know if I had to go home. I vaguely remember the match. I don't know if I remember it because I was there and playing or because I was watching on TV. So you'll have to check. Someone else will have to let me know. I don't know. Yeah. I can't remember, which I should be able to remember, but I just can't. A big thing, I might have went home injured, but I can't remember.
Right, I'll check afterwards because if you did play against them, it's probably one to remember. But I can understand not having the kind of full memory for a friendly game anyway. It's never going to have the same kind of intensity. But did you ever have an experience on a pitch where you're thinking, this guy, whoever it might be, if it, is just a class above, and I don't know what we're supposed to do here, or you kind of almost lose yourself in a second and forget that you're in the game because you're in the presence of something special.
You know what you were saying? I didn't play against Ronaldo on his peak. Well, he sort of was. It was the near his end of his time at Man United when he was frightening. And I was at Reading playing against him. I think it was Reading, and he wasn't having a great game. And the next minute, he just went down the ring. Like you're saying, like we see Messi did. This is when he was left winging at his sort of peak as a winger, down the left wing, cut inside onto his right foot and drill it into the far bottom corner. And you know he's going to do it, but our fullback couldn't stop him, even though he tried to show him down the line. He still chopped inside and put in the bottom corner. I felt that was, remember that game thinking, you know, he didn't really, wasn't that interested. And then it's like when he wanted it, we were 1-0 up at the time. He's like, well, I have to score now. And he just went down the pitch and did it. And it looked so easy. That in particular stands out to me. And also, we played Arsenal when Henry and that group of players were still playing a couple of times. And even though they weren't winning the league, I think it was Chelsea maybe were the dominant team at the time, maybe Man United. Arsenal were going to be second or third in the league. But over a course of 2 or 3 seasons, we never got near them playing them. Like, embarrassed. I felt embarrassed. I never felt embarrassed against Man United or Chelsea. Always gave them a good game. Always thought I have half a chance here, even though on paper, where the league positioning, they would have been ahead of Arsenal at the time. But Arsenal, just the way they passed it around, Henry was still in his prime. You just felt like babies playing against them. We didn't have a system that could deal with it. We weren't it. I'm sure other players were, or other teams were better set up. We just couldn't deal with that Arsenal side, and I always felt just not on the same planet as them when I was playing against them, and that was not nice. I didn't like that. I never felt like that, you know, in other games or other teams we played against over the years.
It's interesting. There was almost so much raw talent to that Arsenal team. They just couldn't put it together for full seasons back then. But kind of like Cesc Fabregas kind of era.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
I'm just looking. Your instinct was right. You weren't in the squad for that match. It was a 1-0 defeat to at Lansdowne Road, at the Viva to an Argentina team that included Messi, Higuain, Di Maria, Gabriel Heinze. Remember him? Walter Samuel, Sergio Romero in goal. A lot of these lads are still around. The Irish team was Shay Given, Paul McShane, John O'Shea, Richard Dunn. We seem to only play with 3 defenders. Don't know what's going on there. Keith Andrews, Damien Duff, Keith Fahey, Paul Green, Kevin Kilban, and a strike partnership of Robbie Keane and Killian Sheridan. So you might have got a game that day if you didn't go home injured. But I'd say I was thinking your instinct must be correct there that you would remember that.
Yeah, you'd imagine I should.
So look, City, as you said, it's going to be a tough week. They have the resources, I suppose, to change things up, but Pep doesn't really seem to do that. I thought they were brilliant on Saturday against Chelsea, probably their best performance that we've seen from them in this season anyway. They didn't show up last night, but they've got this Liverpool game has become the big game, I suppose, and it's never going to be the biggest game in terms of from supporters' point of views or anything like that. But in terms of they have been the 2 big clubs now for about 5 years or so. So this becomes the game we look forward to as neutrals to watch in the season. I'm fascinated as to where both teams are because City have been so hit and miss this year, whereas Liverpool just look like they're more or less back to themselves. And then you see that they were just wide open against Brentford and just looked like competing every time the ball went down that end of the field. It is hard to judge at the moment, isn't it?
Yeah, just going on last night. I watched all the Liverpool or most of the Liverpool game. I was in the pub actually, lovely, and they were really good. You know, and I know they're always good against Porto. The record against Porto was ridiculous. So you sort of maybe take it with a pinch of salt, but they were really good last night. And even that Brentford game, going forward, they just look like they're back. You know, defensively maybe not quite there, but going forward, they look like they're back to their exciting best. And it's not like a rivalry game, I suppose, but it's more like Man United Arsenal maybe over the course of 4, 5, 6 seasons. It was the 2 going against each other all the time, and it became a rivalry. And the same with these 2. And their managers Pep and Klopp don't seem to see eye to eye. So it's becoming that game, and realistically, it's, I suppose, Chelsea into this season could spoil the party for them, but they've been to 2, and just seeing Liverpool back to way, as neutral. I'm a Man United fan, shouldn't like watching Liverpool, should be hating them, but you have to like the way they play and the way that, and I keep saying it to you, the way their manager gets them to play. Enjoyable team to watch. Man City, if I was to pick out the 2, I'd say, I won't give you a score. We're doing that in our 1-2-3 in a minute. But I'd fancy Liverpool. Just seeing them I've seen them play 90. I've seen 90 minutes a good few times this season with them, and they're just on the counter attack. They're so dangerous. Again, Dyke looks to be up to pace now. I don't think he was in the first few games, and that's totally understandable. It mightn't be fully right yet, but it takes a while when you get an injury like that. Even so, it's just psychological more than anything. But yeah, I don't know, something about Liverpool again. Man City to me still, as good as everything is, they didn't replace Aguero in the summer. Surprised they didn't really go out and they flirted with Kane a bit, but they're still missing that number 9 to so many games. They have so much possession, create so many chances, and they just keep doing the same thing. And obviously it works out most of the time for them, but they don't have someone off the bench even to come on. You know what? We'd put a centre forward in there who might score a few tap-ins first or something. You're always relying on that sort of, 3 or 4 players who play the same. Who want to come short, running on the ball, want to create, obviously pitch in with goals as well, but not someone like Aguero who just wanted to score goals. So, that's sort of my weakness with Man City, and that's why I'd be sort of leaning towards Liverpool.
Another thing I'd be happy about if I was a Liverpool fan, though, as well, is the form of the strikers. We were talking last year. It felt like they were almost either they were in decline or they just needed that real rest. And Mane looks a little bit more like the Mane we know. Jota is obviously just continuously kind of improving and he did look good last year. Firmino got goals last night, but Salah has 8 and 8 and looks like best player in the league, Mo Salah again, doesn't he? And you think of that the opposite of City is exactly what you're saying. It's like De Bruyne hasn't been at his best, Sterling hasn't been at his best, Mahrez, whatever. Grealish made an okay start, but not the impact they would have wanted. And they don't have anybody to just be that serious danger man the way Salah is. You expect them to score every game.
Yeah, I know. And then I suppose there's a question with Salah. They still haven't sorted out the contract thing. And that could become more of an issue as the season goes on, more rumours about where he ends up. With the form he's in, last season you'd say, he should sign a contract because he ain't going to get the move. None of the, so you said the front players of Liverpool were firing all cylinders. But now the way he's playing at the moment, he's playing himself into, either a fantastic new contract or going somewhere else. And it's something Liverpool want to tie down. Wijnaldum seemed to be at them last season, drag on all season, and they've missed him. That's, talking about replacing players. They didn't replace him. So, there's a few little issues and you can look into it and think, that might be upsetting. But right now, as we speak, it seems to be a happy camp, Liverpool. Everyone seems to be smiling. Salah, just his finishing ability is just, it's amazing to watch him play because he never looks like you never think he's in top gear, and he just, that's his style. He just looks so calm and relaxed. Never looks like he's going to miss either. So he's that, he's not a centre forward, but he's getting goals. He's like Ronaldo, scoring goals, just wants to score goals. Whereas I don't think Man City have that. That just someone out now who just wants to score goals. They're fabulous players. But you feel like they get just as much of a buzz out of an assist as scoring a goal. And, you expect one to be that sort of greedy so-and-so. That make the difference in those tight, nitty-gritty games where they're not always playing fantastic.
Yeah. And also, then you have it's Pep versus Klopp, and it feels like Klopp is going to fire on all cylinders again. There's a lot to look forward to. We'll get your prediction when we get to the 1-2-3. A team that won't be on 1-2-3 though is Manchester United, because they're playing Saturday afternoon against Everton. Look, I'm over it, Kevin, at this stage. I'm on to Tottenham. I'm on to our visit to the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium on Sunday afternoon for Aston Villa. But it would be remiss of me not to mention Manchester United's famous, consistent.
Well done, Mick.
Performance, a great win for whoever they were playing. The Irish media report seemed to be about Manchester United losing a random match to some team. But look, we do talk about United every week. There's no point in going back into where their tactics, what way are they set up, because it's the same conversation every week. We could have had it after the young boys the performance and a couple of others this season. They'll get it back. They'll probably beat Everton this week. Everyone will be happy again. But what you see I just wonder about a manager who doesn't say, do you know what, Cristiano Ronaldo's on my team. I have to play him every week. He's going to be in the middle. He's taking the penalty. Sorry about this, Bruno. And it just set up this problem. And I don't think would have been there if Ronaldo, because Ronaldo's not going to be affected if he misses a penalty. He's too big. He's too long in the tooth for that kind of stuff. He probably was too long in the tooth for that stuff when he was 18. He's just that kind of character. Whereas now you have this penalty issue hanging over them as well as everything else.
Yeah, I don't. They're Portuguese. They're teammates. The Portugal Ronaldo takes the penalties. The Portugal, it's Ronaldo. All he has to do is step up there and say, "Sorry, Bruno, back in your box. This is." I'm the king around here, and no one would say a word, and the manager wouldn't say a word, and that'd be the end of it. So, I'd more believe it to Ronaldo. Ronaldo obviously says, yeah, it's yours to take, you take it. See them chatting about it. But, you could just repeat, talking about this incident, we could just repeat this conversation that we've had for the last 2 years, basically, let's replay the same issues, the same problems. One thing for me hasn't really been bothered about. They burst their behind to re-sign Cavani in the summer, desperate to get him. He was really good last season. And now he's just not going to play because Ronaldo can only play in one position now. And Cavani's sitting there thinking he delayed his return to his homeland to give one more year at Man United, a fabulous professional, really good striker. And now he's just paying him an absolute fortune just to sit on the bench. He'll play a few games, but realistically, any of the big games, it's going to be Ronaldo if he's fit. So,
with 10 minutes to go, I'd even be more worried about is that they're not even completely abandoned. He came on at 10 minutes to go and played on the left wing at 35. He was still actually more dangerous than anyone else that had. It was like that's not where you play Edinson Cavani if you're looking for a goal.
That's just that's just another problem, isn't it? That just sums everything up. Square pegs, round holes type thing. I feel sorry for Cavani because you know what? I'm glad they signed Ronaldo. I think it's a big statement. Just for the club to get a big player like that. They haven't done that in a long time, and just for a feel-good factor. But actually, in a game, in a starting 11, playing that number 9 position, I would prefer Cavani, to be honest with you. I think he offers more off the ball, and he'd get as many goals as Ronaldo. So, be my opinion on it. I think it's going to be an awful waste. Probably the last good year of that man's career is going to be sitting on the bench at Man United, and he'll head home then at the end of the season. They'll have paid him a fortune and not used him. So, but listen, that's Man United and sort of summed up them over the last 5 or 6 years. So strange signings, panic buys, players on the bench that shouldn't be. You're not sure whose position is best, and a whole lot of problems. But it can all be put right with a win. On Saturday, Mick.
Yeah, they're playing tonight as well. You win these 2 games against Villarreal and Everton, and probably things look good again. But I do wonder, this is probably my question, is we could talk about what's wrong at the back and what's wrong with their style and what's wrong with everything and why they're so inconsistent. And as you said, that's press and replay on every conversation we've had, because they're incredibly consistent in how up and down they've been. But I wonder, is there a wheel turning in terms of Manchester United fans? Because obviously closely paying attention, Twitter isn't always the best place to judge these things, but obviously closely paying attention on for the game on Saturday, United are like, there was a point where Ole Gunnar Solskjaer was moaning after the game about offsides and about Martinez's antics and this, that, and the other. And I was thinking to myself, you're making a lot of excuses here, but it feels like every United fan that watched that game knows that maybe those things were unlucky, but in general, they didn't play well, and Villa probably deserved to get something, if not the win, out of the game. And it's like, there's only so many times you can go to the well with that kind of stuff, or moaning about Klopp being the reason they weren't getting penalties stuff. I wonder, I sense less support on the weekend than I have in quite a while for the whole Solskjaer thing. I think it's very early to be talking about getting rid or anything like that, but if he does lose the fans, and that's what's been keeping him in the role, really, is the fact that he's old school Manchester United and he's a hero of the club and he's exactly what they need and people want them to succeed. It's not going to take too much more, is it?
No, it could take these 2 games, to be honest with you. Like, the owners have gone and spent a fortune. Again, you can question some of the signings, but they have spent. You can't argue that they haven't spent money. And they're going to be, I'd imagine they can't keep going the way things are going. They'll need to see some sort of sign of light and payback. And I suppose they're probably happy as long as we can keep the thing in the top 4 and keeping the Champions League. But like, the thing you're hinting towards, you have to make a change of manager or whatever. But who is there? Like, there is no one. Who would you put in charge of Man United right now? You'd like them to have something lined up. I know, but to me, he's just to sort of come in, and that not going to last more than a year or 2.
Yeah.
Ball out, get angry. Jose Mourinho / Louis van Gaal mix. Doesn't seem to last anywhere long. Probably get instant success, but at the over the course of 2 or 3 years, not ideal. I personally thought the time was Pochettino 2 years ago, and they took on Solskjaer, and Pochettino was free, or maybe even last year before he signed for PSG. I think he's fabulous coach and style of play to suit Man United, but there's not really that. You go and make a decision on Saturday, you get rid of Solskjaer, okay, you don't go for Conte. There's no one where you'd say he's a Man United manager available and readily available. They're all at top clubs. So I think they need to just see it through till someone really stands out and you go, yeah, there's the one. You have to get him. Like a player, like when Ronaldo comes available, whatever it might be, go for that manager. But right now, I think you just leave Solskjaer to go at it and bubble away. And as long as they're staying in the top four, they might be challenging for a league. Stay in the top four and half competitive in the Champions League, you leave them to it till that sort of difference maker, special manager comes along, like another Klopp or someone becomes available, like that type of manager, and that suits Man United's style as well. I don't think Conte suits Man United's style. You're just used to good attacking, enjoyable football. Why Mourinho didn't work out, everyone was just, you couldn't watch it. You couldn't watch Louis van Gaal. In fairness to Solskjaer, it's been watchable. There've been plenty of enjoyment and excitement. Just a complete inconsistency. But I'd wait for the right man. Nothing guaranteed. You can't guarantee anything. As good a manager is, might work out, but try and get this one right. It's so important, and make sure that someone who really stands out and is a special coach.
Yeah, I think that's an important point, though. It's about the replacement. It's not about the sacking. It's about who's next, rather than getting rid of what we have there, which I think most clubs probably don't think enough about when they do it. That's United. They're playing tonight. So are Chelsea.
We were going to talk about them, Mick.
Well, do you know what? I talked all about them without mentioning hardly at all the team that beat them. So I'm as bad as all the other Irish media I was just moaning about beforehand. But there you go. Let's play 1-2-3. This is Ladbrokes 1-2-3, which you can play right now on Ladbrokes.com or on the Ladbrokes app. You pick 3 scores from the weekend's games in the Premier League. If you pick the score right in one game, you get a €1 free bet. If you pick it in 2, you get a €5 free bet. And if you get all 3 scores correctly, you win €100 in cash. It's absolutely free to play. Kevin's going to make his picks now. Brighton and Arsenal, the two informed teams in the Premier League. Brighton could have went top on Monday, but it ended up getting a good draw against their old rivals, Palace. Arsenal looked great, I have to say. I watched the first half an hour of that game. Spurs, shambles, all the usual thing. We always go negative on these things. But I was like, Arsenal have shape. That looks like, I love the Saka coming off the right wing back position, Odegaard and Smith Rowe in behind Aubameyang. It just looked good, I have to say. Yeah,
it did. I'm just because of the whole Spurs thing and how it was, they were good and Spurs were so bad. I'm not sure. This is my hardest one to call. Brighton have been excellent. They're ahead of Arsenal. Like Brighton are what? Brighton are in the league. They're 6th. Arsenal, in fairness to Arsenal, I saw them at the start of the season when they lost a couple of games and there was a lot of stick being thrown about, but they actually weren't that bad. You think if they can stick at it and get a bit of relief, and it seems to be turning a little bit of a corner, but this is a tough game for them. I'm going to go with a draw, Mick. I just can't. Yeah, Brighton have just been so impressive. I would hate to, back against them at home, on how well they've been playing, so I'm going to go with a score draw, 1-1.
1-1 there, yeah. Not even the worst result for Arsenal after 3
no.
I suppose. Yeah, but that's a fair one there. Palace against Leicester then. Palace under Vieira shown some signs of life in the last couple of weeks, actually. But Leicester have struggled so far.
Yeah.
I kind of saw this coming a little bit. I don't know. I think it'll wash itself out over the course of the year, but it felt like that they were due to go almost in the opposite direction, not fall apart in April, May, and maybe just get that a little bit slow start. That could put them under a bit of pressure, later on in the season, that they've had a lot of points to in the bag early for the last, I think, 3 seasons, really, So suddenly now, if they're going to be playing catch-up, they don't have all of that in the bag. They haven't caught anybody on the hop this year. I think that's the difference.
Yeah, it could be. And again, I don't know if they're strengthened enough. And it's the same sort of basis of squad over the last few years. They're all getting older. Jamie Vardy, they're relying on someone who's, who relies on his pace, and he's getting older now. Palace, Sellers Park, if they have any form, it's a hard place to go. Just a sort of intimidating stadium. I'm going to go with Palace home win here. Said they've started to turn things around a bit. I'm going to go with 2-1 Crystal Palace.
2-1 to Palace, yeah. I like that call. Worryingly, I know. Because if I like it, you've no chance of picking.
Never working, Mick, is it?
All right, the last game there. This is the one we'll look forward to all weekend. It's Liverpool City. We've talked a good bit about it. Liverpool being at home is something that you've mentioned a good bit this year as well, that Anfield maybe gives that extra kick that the other stadiums haven't. And yet, home form has been very good this year, as we expected, with fans back at the stadium. But Anfield, it's Klopp even saying last night, it's our first time back in a few games. We can't wait to go back. That could be the difference.
Definitely. And a big game like that, I can imagine the atmosphere would be unreal. The atmosphere was great. Playing at Anfield was brilliant, and I didn't play there in big games, obviously. This is a big game. The atmosphere must only ramp up something amazing for a game like this. So, that is a real, extra few percent for Liverpool. We talked about, last season, trying to think of reasons why their form wasn't as good, and I thought that was a big thing in the way they play and how they rely on the crowd. So I'm going to go, and Liverpool playing well this season, top of the league going into this. Man City, I think, only a point behind them, but I'm going to go with a home win for those different reasons. I'm going to go for a 3-1 home win.
Wow.
A bit bold.
Yeah.
Liverpool are scoring goals though. And see it going to like 1-1 and City trying to break and trying to get something, or 1-0 to Liverpool, maybe City putting a lot of pressure on and Liverpool just catching them on the break as the game goes on.
Very good. Okay, so Liverpool 3-1. Liverpool fans will be delighted with that. So the 3 games that Kevin has gone for in 1-2-3 is a 1-1 draw between Brighton and Arsenal at the Amex. Crystal Palace to beat Leicester City 2-1, and Liverpool to beat Manchester City 3-1 and stay at top of the league. So look, if you agree or disagree, you can go and play yourself right now on ladbrokes.com. You pick one game right, you get a €1 free bet. You get 2 right, you get a €5 free bet. And if you get all 3, you get €100 cash, and it's completely free to play. Kevin, thanks a million. Enjoy the weekend and enjoy Champions League tonight as well. I suppose that depends on how United get on, whether that's enjoyable or not.
Yeah, Villarreal as well. Bad memories of that.
Not very recent.
The guy is back in form now, though.
He's saving
Get him on the penalties.
Okay. Unfortunately, they're not scoring them anymore, though. Thanks a million to Kevin. We'll talk to him again next week. Look, we're into a really, really good and exciting and quick-paced part of the football season at the moment. So lots to get to with Kevin every week. Great stuff from him, as always. If you're having a bet on the football or any other sport at all over the course of the week, please always gamble responsibly. Visit dunlewy.net for more information. But we'll be back with more build-up in association with Ladbrokes very soon.